The urban ruins stretched for miles, a graveyard of twisted steel and shattered glass. Silence hung heavy over the cracked asphalt. Goku hovered 10 feet above the ground, his white aura pulsing like a dying star, casting long, flickering shadows against the jagged debris. He gripped his staff, his eyes locked on the darkness where the city had swallowed the light. Somewhere in that void, Batman stood motionless. He did not breathe heavily. He did not shift his weight. He stood as part of the architecture, his fingers hovering over his utility belt. He mapped every structural weakness in the surrounding buildings, calculating angles, distances, and escape routes with cold precision. Goku felt the stillness. He tilted his head, his gaze piercing the gloom, searching for the heartbeat that refused to reveal itself. The air grew thin, charged with the static of two worlds colliding. Dust motes danced in the glow of the aura, suspended in the sudden pressure. Goku tightened his grip on the staff, ready to shatter the quiet. Batman remained unseen, a shadow within shadows, waiting for the moment. Goku vanished. The air snapped with the force of his departure. He reappeared behind the shadow, his staff whistling through the space where Batman had stood a millisecond before. The steel rod struck the concrete, sending a shockwave of dust into the air. But the space was empty. Batman had already moved. A gray cloud erupted instantly, swallowing the intersection in a thick, choking fog. Goku pivoted, his senses expanding. Then, the sound hit. A sonic pulse device skittered across the asphalt, its high-frequency scream shattering the silence. Goku winced, his energy flaring in a sudden, brilliant flash to deflect the sound waves. The pressure against his eardrums eased. He sensed a subtle change in air pressure behind him and spun, his palm open to strike. The space was empty again. Batman was gone, already scaling a rusted girder high above the street. The city had become a weapon, and the hunter was being hunted. High above the street, Batman launched an explosive batarang. It whistled through the stagnant air and struck the pillar beside Goku. The detonation was instantaneous, a violent bloom of fire and force that sent jagged shrapnel tearing through the ruins. Goku did not wait for the smoke to clear. He used instant transmission to blink away, reappearing hundreds of feet above the debris. He hung in the air, his silhouette framed against the dark sky. He cupped his hands at his side, and a point of intense blue light began to gather. He thrust his hands forward. The Kamehameha beam roared downward, a torrent of pure, concentrated energy that turned the night into day. Batman did not flee. He stood his ground on the crumbling ledge, his hands moving with mechanical speed to activate his EMP mines. A localized field of distortion rippled outward. As the blue energy hit the field, it began to fracture. The beam shuddered, its cohesion failing. It disintegrated into fading sparks. Goku descended slowly. Batman remained where he stood, his stance unbroken. Goku landed, but the air around him changed. His eyes flickered and settled into a piercing metallic silver. Every trace of hesitation vanished. He moved through the ruins like a ghost, his body reacting before his mind even registered the need for action. He surged forward, a blur of motion. Batman braced, his gauntlets sparking as he deployed a series of specialized traps, but the defenses were already obsolete. Goku slipped through the gaps in the machinery with surgical precision. Each strike landed with the weight of a falling mountain. Batman countered, his movements calculated to minimize the impact of every blow, but the speed of the assault was relentless. Ground crumbled, dust billowed. Goku delivered a flurry of strikes, each one forcing Batman to retreat further into the debris. The air grew hot, vibrating with intensity. They moved in perfect synchronization, a storm of kinetic energy that left nothing standing in its wake. The final shockwave tore through the last standing wall, then vanished into the void. A heavy, suffocating silence returned to the ruins. Slowly, the thick cloud of pulverized concrete and dust began to settle, drifting downward like gray snow. As the air cleared, the figures emerged. Goku stood with his staff gripped firmly, his breathing steady and rhythmic. Opposite him, Batman remained upright amidst the jagged rubble. The ground beneath them was cratered and torn, yet neither man had yielded. They locked gazes across the narrow gap. The air remained stagnant. The ruins groaned under the pressure of their presence, but the violence had ceased. There was no movement, no sudden surge of energy. Only the stark, haunting contrast between divine instinct and iron-willed human resolve. The stalemate held.